Glory's on the secondary deck here for his rogue deck. And so Geppetto Joybuzz, one of the big cards that gets added into the matchup in order to help supplement your value game versus Warrior. And then also 2 copies of Togwaggle Scheme for some of those endless seeming turns of Togwaggles towards the end of the game. For Hypno, on the other side, he's sticking to his good old primary Warrior deck, I believe.
Yep, his primary Warrior deck has Azalea's Soul Thief, Harrison Jones, Spellbreaker, just to name a couple of differentiation points. One thing that is slightly interesting is the fact that he's running 1 Town Crier and 1 Execute. It seems like that's one of the decision points that he was making for his deck list, which makes him a little bit better against things like the mages when they have the Giant out and you can execute it, but a little bit less consistent in the early game against decks that want to pressure you like Rogue.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting call where, you know, Spellbreaker and Execute, I think they service quite well versus Mage. You know, kind of looking at how the deck lists have evolved, a lot of Twilight Drakes have been floating into Mage lately. Also helps you answer some mech stuff when they start using a lot of magnetics. And then, you know, Execute's just a good card. I think it's totally fine to just have a good card in your deck sometimes. I'm quite surprised it's been rotated out of most of the decks, but I think when you're a little bit lower to the ground and have less overall card advantage tools and mainly relying on board position to help you secure it, Execute makes a lot of sense. You know, for Hypno, it's Harrison Jones, Super Collider, Azalea Soul Thief, with no Omega assemblies in the deck. So you're going to have some way to make swings on board if you can't rely on advantage later on.
Yeah, I think it's a really good way to frame that. Speaking of which, by the way, this tempo play for Glory has a lot of nice upside if you use Goblin Lackey and Witchy Lackey here. Oh, goodness gracious.
Going double Witchy Lackey. I'm quite surprised that it wasn't Goblin Witchy Lackey here. That actually is super surprising to me.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, wow. That's like possibly the worst outcome for Glory. I want to touch on that line because I think Goblin Lackey hit the one of the mechs and then upgrade it to a 4-cost minion.
Yes.
In this position, it would have yielded a clear. But I just think overall his position looks stronger if he does that. Kind of curious about the play.
Right, because it sets up a better Spirit of the Shark, which gives you 1 Witchy Lackey afterwards to, say, play Life Drinker Witchy Lackey, and then upgrade that to a 6-minute minion. Of course, that's just based off what their current setup is. Right now, it seems like he said he wants to maybe perhaps clear the board, set up for a Waggle pick in response to whatever Hypno plays.
He may not get that opportunity again.
I mean, Hypno looks like he's just charging straight forward and trying to go for this mid-range pressure plan, and Glory has to just be very reactive.
And I think this is wise for Hypno. You know, the life restoration in Glory's deck is Aziliacs and 2 Life Drinkers. I'm not exactly going to call those impressive ways to keep your life topped up. Ziliax, of course, is. But the more damage that Hypno lands on the Glory, the less likely he is to be able to sustain if there's bomb pressure coming out from Hypno.
Oh, man. Harrison Jones on 5. Yeah, Hypno's has Harrison Jones in 2 of his 3 decks. That just shows how much he values weapon destruction.
Apologize for the little bit of slight tech issue here.
Yep. Hypno does not have a clean way to kill off this, as far as I see. He has a Dynamatic, but he can't reach it guaranteed because of his Harrison Jones.
This is to me is such a classic variation that happens in this matchup, where Glory's going to play a Waggle pick. It gets answered by Harrison, and then Spirit of the Shark comes down and try to recover the game. And in this position, both minions end up taking 2 of the damage.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 3 for Harrison and 2 for the Shark.
I gotta admit, I was kind of anticipating maybe a Bench Caliber setup here to maybe just like start pressing in for damage.
I think if you kill that Shark, the game ends. I think it's worthy of a risk.
Okay.
Hypno's still ahead on board at this spot. Shark's gonna get killed.
Yeah, still in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah. I feel like Glory in this game just probably ended up taking too much damage, as I think Hypno's gonna be on the front foot for the rest of it. I'm worried for Glory. Hypno just says, you know what, I just want the biggest thing in play, too.
Yeah, it makes sense. If you're going to put your opponent down to 15 life or so, you want to start figuring out ways to close the game.
It's like trade to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Togwaggle.
I think you're trying to still fight for board position.
Wow, this is big yikes from Glory's side. Hypno is just going to blow this out of the water. This is not even going to be close. Holy moly. He's got backup for days.
Yeah, this Dynamatic does 5 damage to the board.
Light the fuses!
Trade in the 1/1.
I like the Dynamatic first. Dynamatic's a worse follow-up to Militia Commander than vice versa. It's often a sequence I have found myself victim to is I have a strong turn with Militia Commander, and then I look down at my Dynamatic. Do it the opposite. Glory's a struggle to survive. I mean...
Yeah. Oh, a 1-mana Shark, though, can do some pretty amazing things. Hypno has 4, 7, 8, 11 damage. 1 bomb will end this game.
You get the liberty of killing the Geppetto if you want.
I like the liberty of killing my opponent's face.
Yeah, I'm probably killing Geppetto here. I don't know, though. I mean, the one attack does represent a lethal... Yeah, this forces Glory to have Ziliax. Yeah, well done. Who cares about that 6/6?
Yeah, Glory does have one of the best ways to fish for it, though, through the Shark, so we'll see if that ends up helping or hurting Glory.
He's got to find Ziliax.
He's got a Step Snap.
I hope you like my
2 draws. Eviscerate. Shadow Step.
We go again.
I hope you like my invention.
Preparation.
Done.
Miscreant. I mean, Miscreant still has ways to mess with your opponent. Faceless Lackey, Kobold Lackeys. Patient Assassin.
This one's a real page turner.
No clue what that card is right now. Just a 3-mana 2.
Look.
2-mana 3/2.
I guess.
If you're going to play a zoo deck, just play Warrior. That was a zoo deck. My gosh. I think for me it boils down to Glory's to play. I think it was your suggestion on the Goblin Lackey into Witchy Lackey would have left him with a massively superior board position.
It was a punish from Warrior, which is
massive.
probably why people love this class a lot right now, because Warrior feels like, and I was telling this to TJ, it feels like one of the classes that truly punishes mistakes really hard right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you mess up an attack, they clear your board with, like, Dynamatic. You leave a minion up by accident, they Ziliax and go back up to full life, you know?
Glory he's in a lot of trouble this game. Hypno has just got the goods. You mentioned offensive and defensive capability. We're seeing that full defensive side from Hypno this game. My goodness. And I agree with you on the punish aspect, too. I think that's actually a really elegant way of putting it, where Warrior does very much punish a lack of foresight in a lot of situations. You know, one of the issues with Warrior and why it's so strong is because there's a lot of times where there's no way for you to not get punished against the deck. Your hand forces you to go wide on board. If they have Warpath or Brawl, you could be done. If you can't go wide on board and you play a little bit more conservative, it means they start to tempo you out and have Dynamatic be big impact. It's one of the reasons that the mech decks are so strong against Warrior is they get to go full steam ahead and not really pay much heed to consequence of board clears. They oftentimes can take advantage of that.
That's a really good point. And also a good punt. Henge Clan Thug comes down and meets its maker, a 3-attack weapon. Very ironic.
The attacks giveth, the attacks taketh away.
Honestly, the coin Henge Clan Thug was also slightly interesting as a thing to note, because Glory had this opportunity, obviously, to just do the normal road curve, but I think he wanted to disrupt Hypno's turn 3 play so much that he ended up investing into it early.
Yeah.
And now is in this position where he's just playing Novice Engineer, and now Hypno once again takes initiative. I don't know.
And that's really the thing. I have to commend Glory for his play setup here. If he goes for Shark, Dynamatic's going to come down cleanly. You want to set up for Shark in a different way. And so Hypno looking to capitalize on that, just playing once again a 4/5 and saying, if you're going to take all this fancy card draw nonsense, I'm going to start hitting you right away.
Exactly.
I hope you like my invention.
I do feel like, though, Spirit of the Shark reminds me of the old versions of Rogue that would be so dependent on having that miracle outcome. They called it Miracle Rogue with Geist and Auctioneer. And it was also like you live and die by the Shark. You live and die by the Auctioneer. It feels fairly similar to that.
I certainly don't mind it. I think it is a strong plan. I can see a lot of merits to running and both not running Shark. And what I think is that Spirit of the Shark is such a complicated overall deck building card that I just don't think that Rogue is in its final iteration right now. I think people are accepting it for as a strong build for a long time because it is a very strong deck.
Look, this guy's playing Geppetto Joy Buzz right now. It's like, is that really the card that you want against Warriors?
I do think it's a very good card.
I do think it's a good card. It's a good card. I don't know if it's actually the card that you want against Warrior per se.
I look at the waggle picks in the secondary deck. Against Warrior, I want to take out my waggle picks. I don't want to be liable to Harrison Jones or to weapons projects or what have you.
Right, especially because you're running Henge Clan Thugs in the same deck too. It feels like
fight for board.
Yeah, it feels like you'd probably be better served to just be reliant on the normal Rogue Dagger and then utilize that extra waggle pick for other forms of board control or maybe even better pressure tools.
Exactly. And so something I look at with Glory's deck, I mean, we talk about fighting for board. Let me name all the situational cards for you effectively versus Warrior in the secondary here for Glory. Waggle pick, technically secondary, or technically situational. You need to be able to kill minions with it and not be punished by counterplay. So a stronger card overall, but, still, I think some situational stuff to it. Speed of the Shark, situational. Life Drinker. Almost irrelevant in the matchup. What? Novice Engineer. Togwaggle Scheme. Shadow Step. Backstab. Just kind of bad overall against Warrior. Preparation. There's so many cards in here that don't function on an offensive or defensive measure. They all combine to do something spectacular. That's where Warrior beats you. Your cards are just not doing enough.
Yeah, it's supposed to be some form of hybrid tempo with like value, lackey rogue, esque combinations. It takes out the Blink Fox and the Vendetta, and that's partially the way that Shark could really compensate for it because you can invest so many resources into it, and you're able to utilize Vendetta to get back into the game.
Now, that being said, I like the game plan. I think that Rogue is very strong, and I think Hypno has just pretty much had the goods in this series so far. Just needs a stronger plan to fight for board. Wasn't there this game.
Well, I mean, it's not. Is it over next turn?
It's not over, but, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Hypno's got.
There's a lot of stuff. There's Snip Snap, magnetic stuff next turn, too.
Preemptively loading to attempt an attack, I think. Or perhaps just going in now. That's actually oftentimes a reasonable outcome for Glory, where he's just got a lot of stuff on board to absorb Bootbot hits, but I'm looking at Warpath, and I think that might just end it.
Yes, Snip Snap, Magnetize, and Warpath once is, I believe, guaranteed lethal.
Yep. It's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage here. 13, 14 from Snip Snap. Even if the bombs that die hit for 1.
Yeah, good for Hypno. 5-0 with a 2-1 victory over another Grandmaster. Hypno did great, of course, to go 4-0 so far. But the story goes to Hypno for now, and that is a 2-1 victory for the Warrior.